Meanwhile, the investigation into Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke continues after she denied she took illegal cash in a paper bag, but admitted to accepting $25,000 in campaign donations from the same lobbyist linked with bribing former state lawmakers Ty Cullen and Jay Kalani English back in 2022. Governor Josh Green joins us now with more. Aloha and good morning, Governor. Thank you so much for stopping by with us.
Aloha.
Your thoughts on this situation?
Well, it's concerning, of course. We have to restore the public trust. I think that is obvious, and that's why we are insisting that the Attorney General do a totally independent investigation. You know, the legislature gave us very specific rules, a special division under the Attorney General to do exactly that, and that's what she's doing. Everyone else is walled off of from this investigation, so it's her job. And to restore the public trust, we need to have results, and we need to have them in a timely fashion. Because I want to be focusing on things like affordability, housing, homelessness. But as you can see right now, with all of this concern, it's harder to do.
You decided to cancel a very important trip to Washington, D.C., decided to cancel any other out-of-state trips while this is happening. Why'd you feel the need to do so?
I just thought we had to have steady leadership. You know, a lot of people are concerned, and it's my role to be here, be present, and to be working on continuity of government. All of these things that we otherwise are struggling with don't go away. People still have high grocery bills. People still have to find affordable housing. And I have to make sure that we don't drop the ball on any of those projects. So I just thought, stay home. You know, when we went through COVID or the Maui wildfire or this, I think it's very important for the government to be present, especially the governor.
You outlined the legal reasons why the Attorney General is the right person for this investigation. But being that you did appoint her, why do you feel like Ann Lopez specifically is the right person to investigate this?
Well, Ann Lopez is a very good Attorney General. I actually picked her because she is not political. She was the least political of all the people that applied for the job, which is just interesting given the current circumstance. She's a straight shooter. She is very transparent. I've asked her to make sure she updates our community, our whole state, so she's doing that now every 2 weeks. I think we're due for another update this Friday. Ann Lopez is separate from the governor in the sense that once she is appointed and then confirmed by the Senate, it's her job. You know, the governor does not hire or fire the lieutenant governor or the attorney general once they're in there. As everyone knows, she got appointed and now she runs with it, whatever matters to her. She sometimes sues the federal administration. She represents our values, but this one has to be really on it. She has to restore the public trust and do a professional review and investigation, no matter where it lands, because people deserve to, you know, just have clarity. And that's why I stayed. As everyone also knows, Lieutenant Governor and I, you know, we do get elected separately, but I don't judge. You know, this is not my place to you know, be a judge. It's my place to run the state, and it's the Attorney General's job to make sure that they get clarity on whatever happened.
Moving forward after this investigation, the beginning of this dates back to the Kalani English and Ty Cullen bribery case that involves government contracts with campaign donations and bribery donations as well. Do you feel like moving forward, campaign donations for those that do receive government contracts should be outlawed, as well as those who are close to them, family members, et cetera?
Yeah, there has to be kind of a tighter system. And, you know, if the legislature gives me some solid bills, which I'm sure they will, I will obviously sign them. That happened last year and the year before. I know it never goes quite as fast as like the Clean Elections entity wants, but these are complex issues. You know, they have to also be mindful of the Constitution and who's allowed to donate and who's not and what restrictions there are. But yes, for clean government, the less influence there is, the better. You asked earlier about the $25,000 that was given by people like Mr. Choi. Any of those donations, once people were aware of them, should be given back. And that's what happened, I think, across the board. So, you know, it's very important that we restore the public trust, because if you don't have the public trust, it's harder to work on the issues that matter most. And, you know, I'm very sensitive about this because my team's worked hard to work on some of the big issues that we face. And then you see a lot of headlines that are not about homelessness, that are not about housing. And that's a disappointment for me because I think the government should be working on the key issues that actually affect real people.
Like you talked about Milton Choi, he did donate to a lot of lawmakers. There are not allegations out there of wrongdoing for a lot of those lawmakers, and a lot of them did give that money back. But for those who did receive money from him, what's your level of concern, being that his hands were in so many different lawmakers with that?
Well, I think those donations should be given back, and I've heard from some of those lawmakers, and they gave the money back, you know, in an upstanding way, and that's good. You know, I'll be quite candid. I'm very grateful I didn't meet that guy or didn't know him, you know, because money flies around in politics, and unfortunately, a lot of times people don't even know who is donating or who they're connected to until after the fact. And so again, people do the right thing by giving money back. I think you can either give it to charity or you can give it to the Campaign Spending Commission. Either of those are good options. And like I said, I think that that's what the vast majority of elected officials have done.
I wanted to move on to another issue that's been sweeping the country, including Utah and Hawaii. Kalshi and Polymarket, these wagering sites. It allows for some sort of legal gambling, if you will. They call it wagering. There seems to be a legal loophole. What do you make of these, being that there, you can bet on anything from the governor's race? Allegedly, there was one where you could place bets on what you would say in your State of the State address. Do you feel like these should be outlawed?
I mean, I'm not sure how big an issue it is. It's kind of stupid, in my opinion, to bet on whether I'm going to talk about housing or homelessness. I mean, you can bet I'm going to, and they do, say homelessness, housing, affordability a lot, because that is actually what's out there. Again, it's just kind of the silly science where people gamble. I do worry about some gambling because there can be quite an addictive component to it. You know, gambling is being debated at the Capitol right now, and as we talk about gaming and sports betting, there's a lot of focus on making sure that people get treatment or care if they become an addict, that it doesn't affect their ability to take care of their family. Also, whether the revenue actually stays in our state. I'm sure that this revenue doesn't stay in our state, which is also not helpful. But we want to support programs that are going to matter and make a difference in people's lives. I would caution people against doing this, against betting on stuff I'm going to say, and I'm awfully repetitive too. So, I'm going to stay focused, and you can, take that to the bank on homelessness, health care, housing, affordability. We do have to look at new ways to improve our economy, though, and that's why they're looking at funding through gambling, potentially for the stadium, which is actually a housing project also. We can't just stay as a stagnant economy, as Uhiro has pointed out very eloquently. We've been steady for a long time. We have good jobs, but we haven't been growing as fast as some other parts of the country. They used to envy us because we brought in so much revenue in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s for a small state. But now we've kind of flattened off. And so we always want to look at new ideas. I'd like to see technology come here. There's the potential for some manufacturing. There's some more research that we can do, R&D. I'd like to see sports here. That's why I want to build the stadium. I'd like to augment film and film industry, tourism. All these things are really great and positive, which is why I want to move away as soon as we can, let the Attorney General do her job, away from this challenge with the public trust, move back into the main issues that really matter to people.
You talked about sports tourism in the stadium, a little bit of an increase in the stadium potential capacity to 30,000, as well as you talked about housing there.
Yes.
What do you think that could bring in as far as sports teams coming to the new Aloha Stadium?
It's good. Right now the proposal is up to 31,000 seats, 28 luxury boxes, which bring a lot of revenue in. That's a good thing. Stanford Carr won the bid. I think he's a good guy. We want the stadium to go forward seamlessly. As you saw, they're finally starting to take down the old stadium. They're going to use, I think they're called stanchions, or the structures at the edges, so they can build that new stadium from that infrastructure, which is going to save some money. It's a good thing for society. It's a good thing for the high school kids to aspire to play in the new Aloha Stadium. It'll be great to have Bruno Mars come here, and who knows, maybe we'll get some NFL games. I've got so many NFL teams reaching out to me now because we've demonstrated an interest. The Rams, the Raiders, the 49ers, the Chargers, now the Arizona Cardinals reached out to me. I mean, there's a lot of people that love Hawaii, and they see the positive things about it. So I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to make sure that we handle the public trust question very responsibly. I wanted to say a little bit more about that as we talk about the good things and the bad. They're calling for some additional investigations. So total transparency, I'm all in for that. But, if you try to apply another outside investigator, it could delay things again 3 or 4 months. And I think people need to have clarity as we head towards the primaries and the general election. And people need to be able to vote, and they need to be able to feel they have the right leadership. And that's why I'd like all of this to be handled long before that.
Time is of the essence before we get to November. Governor Gray, thank you so much for stopping by with us this morning.
Thank you very, very much.